Alright, so the first step to grilling chicken is that your grill needs to be preheated. If you don't preheat your grill, your chicken's not going to come out the way you want. So now that we've got this, we're going to turn on the flame. We're going to let it preheat up to about 250, 300, 325. And now we're going to go clean our chicken. Alright, so now that we've got the oven or the grill preheating, the next thing that you got to do is, one, you cannot put chicken on the grill while it looks like this. It needs to look like that. See the difference? That's the skin over the meat, and not all of it just hanging down. So you got to do that with all the chicken. Also, you got to wash your chicken. It's a good thing to do. Legs are far easier to cook than thighs. I love thighs. Delicious, yum yum. But they're too greasy and they're going to flame up your grill. It's harder to control. Legs are awesome, easy to cook. So I'm going to wash all these, and then we're going to go toss. We're going to season them up in a minute. Then we're going to toss them on the grill. All right, good deal. So we've got our grill all heated up real good. We want to make sure that it's nice and clean. Now that it's good and heated up, it's burnt off anything else that was on there. So the chicken is really going to cook well, not just like stick to it. I just like just a little bit of seasonal. And one thing that a lot of people do and how they mess up their chicken is they think that you need to put the barbecue on it first. You never want to put your barbecue on first. You save your barbecue for the last few minutes. But you do put your seasoning salts on, and you got to kind of know your grill. You got to know where your hot spots are, and wherever your hot spots are, that's where you want to put your biggest pieces of chicken. And where your cooler spots are, that's where you put your smaller parts. Which is generally, it's cooler at the back and hotter at the front. Of course, I'm using a propane grill. I love propane. It's easy to use, and I use it all the time. So we're gonna get all these, and then we're gonna come around, and y'all are gonna get to see these little beauties getting grilled up. Alright, so we're going to adjust our fire, and right now we're sitting after everything's about 250, but we're going to probably push it up to about 275. With chicken, grilling chicken, you can't cook it fast. It's going to take a solid 35 minutes to grill it. So grab yourself a beer, which I'm going to do, kind of hang out with the family, and just kind of watch your chicken. Right at about minute 15 to 20, that's when you flip them. You don't need to flip them prior to that, but the whole thing's going to take about 35 minutes. This is the champagne of beers because it says so. Miller High Life, the champagne of beers. So we got our chicken on, and actually I'm cooking it right about 325, just a little bit less than 350, but I am going to be checking on it from time to time because you don't want it to get too hot and start burning. Like I said, it's a slow cook. But the thing I'm going to talk about today, because unfortunately, I think there's going to be a lot of people hurting because of COVID and coronavirus. It's already happening with the unemployment and everything. That's my dad. He's a good dude. And but we're going to talk about what happens when you let your debt go. Pause. Hey everyone again. So we're talking about that. There's so much unemployment going on. People getting their losing their jobs. It's really sad, and unfortunately, I think it's just going to get much worse. There's just so many major companies that are laying people off by the tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands. So a lot of people are going to be affected by this, and I wanted to go over what happens if you stop paying a credit card, if you stop paying a loan. Now, of course, if it's a secured loan, we're talking about like a house or a vehicle or something that is collateral for the loan, then of course they can come and take that. That would be like a repossession of a vehicle. or repossessing your house. I know the federal government is trying to work with the banks, so, to try to help people with delaying payments and things, but who really knows how that's going to go. But I will talk about unsecured cards, like credit cards, and small loans. So normally with those, if you stop paying them, because you can't make your payments, after about 6 months, they're going to go into a charge-off status. Now, I mean, it affects your credit negatively. There's no doubt about it, but what can you do when you're just trying to put food on the table, gas in your car, keep the lights on at the house? So it's one of those things where if that does happen, there's a couple things you can do. One is that, let's just say you owed the credit card company $1,000. If over a 6-month period, because after about 6 months they're going to charge off the debt, which means they're going to write it off as a loss, and they're probably going to assign it to like a collection agency or something like that. If you can catch them around month 4 or 5 and give them a call and say, hey, listen, I know I owed you $1,000, but I have $400 that I can settle out with you. A lot of times, if you're dealing with the original creditor, they will take 40 cents on the dollar, because once they write it off as a loss, or they have to send it to a collection agency, then the chances of them even getting 40% goes down much, much further. So it does mess up your credit, but you will have like a paid collection or a settled collection or a settled charge-off, on your credit report. So that's one thing that you can do. And yes, you'll be able to get out of debt, and you probably for 40 cents on the dollar, maybe 50 cents on the dollar. It does affect your credit negatively, but sometimes cash is more important than credit. And if you can get out of your debt and settle it out, then that's fine. That's a good way, to get that done. The other thing is that if you don't settle it out and it goes to a collection agency, you can also do the same thing with a collection agency. Now, what I have seen in the past, this is prior to COVID, is that banks were suing people over these unsecured debts, especially if they were over $1,000 or more. The bigger the debt, the more chances they have of suing you. Now, if it was under $1,000, really didn't see that happening very much, but if it's over $1,000, I did. But normally it's not after 6 months, it's after it goes to a collection agency, and then time goes by, maybe another 6 months to a year. And it just depends on the statutes of limitations in your state, how long they have to sue you from the last time you made a payment to the original creditor. So, that's another thing to watch out for. If you can't pay the debt and you end up getting sued, it is important to, and you'll be served, so you'll know, because they're going to process server, you're going to get a certified mailer, they're going to come to your home and say you've been served. It's very important that you reach out to that creditor and just let them know exactly what's going on. I mean, if you're in a really bad situation financially, a lot of times they will accept a hardship and might be able to work something out, even a large discount, and do it over terms. So that's one way to handle things, and it's just important to know what the different things can happen. Now, of course, once you've settled it out and everything, then we can what we would call credit repair. We go in, we can work on removing negative items, we can rebuild credit, but in a time of hardship, what can you do? And unfortunately, it's us and 300 million Americans, that are being affected by this right now. So I'm gonna go check on my chicken and see how it's going. All right, so we're about 350 degrees. It said 325 to 350, and the chicken's looking good. We're about 12 minutes in. And they're not burning, they're cooking up real nice. I know these are going to come out super tender, super juicy. So yeah, they look great. We want to definitely check the little ones, because those tend to cook quicker. And then, like I said, if you need to move stuff around on your grill, if you got some hot spots, go ahead and do that. But these look pretty good. Just going to turn it just a tad, and we'll be back here in just a little bit. Okay, so we're gonna back up a little bit. Let's say you didn't pay your creditor and it goes to collections, and that's you can deal with it. My son Sammy, he's back on the trampoline back here. I told him if he could do a front flip, then he could go in and play his computer. I had to figure out a way to get him to come outside and do something, right? So anyhow, If it is with the collector, some collectors do pay for deletes and some don't. It's just whatever their internal procedures are, their protocols. So, you just call them up and say, hey, listen, I want to make you a lump sum offer. Start at 50 cents on the dollar. I mean, you can start at 40 cents on the dollar. But then ask them, listen, if I'm able, but you have to have the money available, and say, listen, I'd like to go ahead and pay that today, but I also want y'all to delete it from my credit report. And it doesn't hurt to ask. There's more and more collection agencies are starting to do that. They're starting to do the pay for deletes. You don't necessarily have to get a letter from them saying that. A lot of times they don't like to send a letter out until you've made your payment and the payment's actually cleared. Normally it's 3 to 5 days for it to actually process through the system. And most of them will either mail you a letter or email you a letter that says it's been paid and that they will delete it. And most collection agencies that I've dealt with, they're legitimate collection agencies. Yes, sometimes they're not very nice. Sometimes they can be kind of jerky, but at the same time, they are licensed to do that and to collect money. And so if someone says on the phone that yes, they're going to delete it, then in every case they will delete it. Now you may have to send a letter to the credit bureaus, just to so the credit bureaus and the collectors are communicating so that gets done. If you want to record the call, you can do that. It just depends what state you live in. I'm in Texas, so that's okay to do. So that's how you would handle, that's what happens when there's a charge-off or you stop paying. You can either deal directly with the creditor right around like month 4 or 6, and then it would just, they won't delete it. The original creditors won't delete it from your credit report, but it will be as paid as settled. But if it goes to a collection agency, ask for the pay for delete. And so we're going to go check on the chicken one more time. Are we on? Yeah. Okay, good deal. All right, so we're right at about minute 20, and the chicken is looking really, really good. So we're just going to start flipping these bad boys over. Turn them over, so like that little one. Put it back there. The grill might get a little bit hot right there. So these guys, turn them around. Just going to move that guy back to the back here. Looking, move this one up front, right there. Okay, so we're about minute 20, so let's give it another 10-15 minutes, and then we'll be putting some barbecue sauce on here in just a few. My mom's in there making some good baked beans, so it's going to be delicious. All right, so Sammy, I'm going to show you how to do a front flip, okay? Because I can't be asking you to do it if I can't do it, right? To hold the beer or not to hold the beer?
To not hold the beer.
That is the question.
To not hold the beer.
All right, here we go. No way. 1, 2. I didn't land it, but I didn't spill a drop. Okay. No beer this time. 1. Sammy, don't do that. You don't want to get your fingers caught there. 1, 2. Gosh.
Keep flinging forward.
1, 2.
Good job.
Ta-da!
Hit it with it.
Here you go. You got it. Tuck in tight, and then let your feet out at the right time. Bring your arms in. Up and quit. Not, you got to go up like that. Crunch. All right, so we're right at minute 30. You know, we're around like, yeah, now it's about 3:25. Gonna take a look here. I like to cut open one of the fat ones. Meat is nice and perfectly white, so we are doing good. Sweet Baby Ray's barbecue sauce, can't go wrong without it. Or how about you can't live without it, you can't go wrong with it. So I'm going to slather these bad boys up. Let them finish up for the last few minutes here. And then it's eating time. Okay, so now I've just turned down the heat while I've just got the barbecue sauce just heating up, because you don't want to overcook your chicken at this point. It was already good. Just a few more minutes on super low all the way down. When we take it out, it's going to be hot, delicious chicken. Grill. All right, so we're right at 35 minutes. The chicken is ready. So I just want to, wrap everything up, and we're here to be a resource to everybody out there. We've been in business for over 13 years, A+ rated, with the BBB licensed, bonded. We know what we're doing and we care. So if you have any questions about credit or debt in this hard time that's affecting everyone, give us a call or shoot us a message on Messenger. Fill out one of our contact forms, check out our website. Me and my team, yes, we're all working at home, but we are, fully operational. So give us a ring, and we'll see what we can do to help. All right, y'all take care. We're gonna eat this.